Last night's game of the OKC Thunder versus the Cleveland Cavaliers was a great game. It was an amazing game to watch. One of the few times an NBA game is worthy of watching during the regular season, I would say. I watched that whole entire game last night. These two teams were the best two teams in the league, Cavs having the best record and the Thunder having the second best record. I also believe this was like only the third time in NBA history where two teams have met up at the same time that had won more than 10 in a row. So that showed you how talented both teams were and how competitive this matchup was. This matchup was competitive from start to finish. Going into the final 2 minutes that really decided this game, to be truthful. And what was interesting about this game is I would say both of these teams really couldn't defend each other. Just if you look at even the box scores, the Thunder shot 53% overall from the field, and the Cavs shot 52% from the field. I would say what the Cavs did a little bit better in this game was they shot higher in three-point percentages. They shot 41 overall from the field, while the Thunder shot around 35 from the field from three. So their three-point shooting was slightly better, and I would say their bench was a lot better. The Cavs bench, that is. They had about 43 points from their bench, while the Thunder had just 26 points from their bench. So they had a sizable margin when it came to bench points, the Cavs. So it was a combination of their bench and their three-point shooting that helped them get the win. But another factor that played a huge role in them getting the win, I felt last night, was their bigs. Their big man duo of Jared Allen and Evan Mobley dominated this game. They were ridiculous in this game. Jared Allen shot 9 for 11 from the field. That's like close to above 90% or a little bit below 90% from the field. And he had 25 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists. And Evan Mobley also shot pretty great from the field, 8 of 13 from the field, 21 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists. Those guys were doing it all on both ends of the court, defensively and offensively. What impresses me about both of these guys is that their passing is great. They're great passing big men, and both of them can post up. I'm kind of impressed by both their post-up game. Jared Allen's post-up game was impressive in the sense that it shows that he's gotten better with his post-up moves over the years, where in his younger days he was just a lob threat, but now he's added a few post-up moves to his game that you can't guard him really with an undersized player. And then you have Evan Mobley, who looked like Tim Duncan at times out there in the post in last night's game. I was impressed that you could see that he's gotten stronger physically and just he can back down guys in the paint at will now. Just that's very impressive. And that's great if you're a Cavs fan because that just makes it easier to score inside the paint for easy buckets. It makes the Cavs harder to guard when both those guys can post up in the paint and they're not just lob threats, they're also post up threats combined with their passing. They dominate. They dominate the game. They had a combined 46 points and 21 rebounds and 13 assists, combined 4 steals and 2 blocks. You're not going to defeat a team when their bigs play as great as Mobley and Allen played last night. It's going to be very hard to defeat them. Garland had a solid game of 18 points on 7 of 15 shooting, but what really stood out to me in this game was Donovan Mitchell was putrid. He was awful in this game. He was terrible. He was nowhere to be seen in this game. He was just MIA. He was struggling throughout the game. He shot just 3 of 16 from the field. That's just not going to cut it for a star player. But his team was still able to win despite him having a horrible game. You don't win many times when your star player shoots 3 of 16 overall from the field. He was just really bad, and this is like why I'm just a little bit skeptical about the Cavs. Like I really like what they're doing with their team. I respect their team, but I feel during the playoffs it's going to come down to Donovan stepping up in certain moments to propel this team to a championship. He's going to have to show up, and I'm not sure if he's made of that, if he can rise to the occasion in these big moments. So that's where I'm very skeptical about him. But there's a chance that the Cavs could win it all despite Donovan being a no-show in big moments. Boston showed last year that you can win even when your star does not show up when you need him to show up. That was demonstrated by Jason Tatum's disappearing acts last year. Just when he had plenty of games in the playoffs where he was MIA, but Boston still won in spite of it. Same thing can happen with the Cavs because they're a very loaded team, just like Boston was last year. They're very capable of winning games with Donovan Mitchell playing bad, and Donovan just serves as a decoy in these games where he's struggling, at least for the defense. That allows other guys to take over. So that's a possibility, but it doesn't happen that many times in NBA history that your team can win a championship when your star noticeably does not show up in the big games. But it can happen, as Boston proved last night. But that's something to keep an eye on all season long and into the playoffs to see if Donovan Mitchell can really step up to the challenge and be that guy in big game situations. That's pretty much all I have to say.